Aloha ko and welcome to the Naleo TV County Council Candidate Podcast, here to inform you of your options ahead of our primary elections on August 8th. I'm your host, Mokana Waikiki, and I'm here with District 5 candidate Junior TUPA'I. Aloha, thank you so much for coming in. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, yeah. Okay, let's jump right in. Tell us all about yourself and what motivated you to run for County Council.
So, of course, my name is Junior TUPA'I. I currently serve as a senior pastor for a local church in Panayava.
Wonderful.
Before that, I was an instructor for Hawaii National Guard Youth Challenge Academy, helped with the inception of the program with former Governor Abercrombie, Adjutant General Kim at the old prison in Kulani, and did 13 cycles there as an instructor. At the same time, was coaching football for Kamehameha Schools one season, and then 9 seasons with Hilo High School under, I think, Coach Kalani Silinga, Dave Baldwin, Kael Jermundo. And just, yeah, I'm currently right now just pastoring the church and then looking just to put my hand, as far as politics and just help out in the community in that regards.
Amazing. Okay, awesome. Congratulations on all of the work you've already put into our community. Shout out to our Hilo High and all of our football teams here on Hawaii Island. Let's jump into sort of the values that guide your decision making. What are they and how would they frame what you do on council?
It's very interesting. Thank you for that question, Makana. Actually, in Hawaii, aloha is actually the law. Hawaii Revised Statute, Chapter 5-7.5. And I quote, aloha spirit is coordination of mind and heart within each person. It brings each person to the self. Each person must think and emote good feelings towards others. So in the contemplation and presence of the life force aloha, the following unuhi, laula aloha may be used. Akahai, meaning kindness, to be expressed in tenderness. Lokahi, meaning unity, to be expressed in harmony. Olu olu, meaning agreeable, to express with pleasantness. What is it? Ha'aha, meaning humility, to be expressed in modesty. And ahunui, meaning kindness, to be expressed, or patience, to be expressed with perseverance. These are the traits of characteristics that express the charm, warmth, and sincerity of Hawaii's people. It was a working philosophy of Native Hawaiians, the Kanaka Maoli, and was a gift to the people of Hawaii. So aloha is not a word of greeting or farewell or salutation, not only, but aloha is mutual regard and affection and extends warmth and caring with no obligation in return. It is the importance for the collective existence where every person is important to everyone else. Aloha means to hear what is not said, to see what cannot be seen, and to know the unknowable. So in fulfillment of their obligations and responsibilities and service to the people, the legislature, governor, lieutenant governor, executive officers of each department, the chief justice, associate justices, and judges of the appellate circuit and district courts may contemplate and reside with the life force and give consideration to the spirit of aloha, end quote. And so that being the law here, the basis and the foundation of, what paradigms we should move with, that the community deserves the best. They deserve the spirit of law, and that should be reflecting in all the policies that we advocate for or oppose, especially my district, District 5. But so much more, even, Hawaii Constitution, Article 1, Section 1 states, all political power of the state is inherent in the people, and the responsibility for the exercise thereof rests with the people. The people should feel empowered that it's not just a republic, but it's a representative democracy. We should be reflecting and resonating the likes and dislikes of our constituents.
I absolutely love that you brought that up. I don't think I've heard it in full in a long time. We use aloha kind of every day, right? All the time. So it's good to see that in a different light. So mahalo. Let's talk about that. Let's jump into the way that our government works. So what is one county process, policy, or regulation that you believe should be improved or even modernized?
There are so many, from STVRs to the alternate route, my district. Cost of living has been going sky high, and people being priced out of paradise. I know it sounds cliche, but it's a reality. People relocating to Texas, Vegas, wherever. We have to look at ways that we can keep our most precious commodity, which is the people. They understand the culture, and the more they're priced out, that knowledge of how the community should be and how the culture is, how it should function, we're losing that. And the people that are coming, no offense to them, but a lot of them, if they don't envelop and take in the culture, then a lot of it there's a friction between what's happening in our community, and I just want to see that sounds very general, but I want to see that type of embracing of people who are coming in, but also that culture being represented, in all of our policies here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Cost of living, you brought it up. That also kind of takes us into housing. That becomes one of our issues or something that's on the mind of constituents right now. Housing affordability remains one of those biggest concerns. What actions can the county realistically take to increase housing opportunities while also kind of keeping and preserving the character and resources of individual communities?
Thank you for that question. With housing, you have to look at supply and demand. At the same time, I brought it up earlier, just a second ago, the STVRs. Now you have advocates and opposers for STVRs. As far as I talked to a lot of Kapuna and they're empty nesters, and that's the way they make their money. They're retired, they have a pension, their Social Security, everything's already set. And with the inflation and the rising costs, you look at gas now. You look at rates now in the next 2 years. So with the county, the way we can help with that is as far as the taxes on the real property tax. Now, I know that's 80% of our budget being $966 million, 80% of that coming from property taxes. Now, if you look at the STVRs, let's just touch that real quick. I know that a lot of people say, let's actually go back to Bill 108 from 2018. So that was actually introduced to regulate and to define what an unhosted STVR is. Of course, it created loopholes where you can't have an unhosted STVR. People started going out, finding loopholes. In 2022, I know they introduced several bills trying to address that, but they did an economic impact study. They found out that if they would eliminate the STVRs, it would actually deplete us of 1/4 of our monies here. So I know as of last year, they introduced, I think, Bill 147, which simply they wanted people that have STVRs hosted to simply sign up with the registry. And if they didn't, there'd be, I think, a fee imposed up to $10,000. And just some people felt like, that's over-regulating. Now, the other side of it is that if we're not taxing some of these STVRs, the transient accommodation tax, we'd actually get, I think, 12 million that we're missing out on. And the general excise tax would be 1.6 million. But then the issue with that now, the transient accommodation tax with the genesis was from 1968, which was to go towards Hawaii tourism, specifically Hawaii Tourism Authority, also with the development and the upkeeping of the infrastructure, specifically the Hawaii Convention Center. Now, with us being a neighbor island, if our monies go there and it goes into the general fund, are we ever going to see that money come back? And so that's where it's like there's like, hey, there's pros and cons. Again, I talk to a lot of Kapuna, a lot of empty nesters that say, this is their only source of passive income because they're already retired. My thing is, if we can focus on eliminating or somehow we can mitigate as far as non-residents that do not live here. For example, Kona side, 40% of the houses there are taken up by STVRs that people are not from here. And those are, long-standing issues that, as far as the county, we can look to bring in policy that can help mitigate and address those concerns of the community. Sorry for the long-winded answer.
No, that's wonderful. Mahalo. You talked about the STVRs and the short-term vacation rentals. Something that came up, right, in Puna is the lava flow that created a big spark of conversation specifically around those types of properties in Puna. As we continue to navigate volcanic activity, I think TUPA'I was going off yesterday.
Yes.
And wildfires, storms, flooding, and a plethora of things that could go wrong on an island. What do you believe the county should do better in preparing our communities for resilience?
Well, I know we have, our civil defense, also with the CERT teams. A lot of it's going to be disaster mitigation, just messaging. Everyone receives messaging differently. Where you have the younger generation, the audience, they're more on IG, TikTok. The older Kapuna, they're going to be more on Facebook, the newspaper, radio. But the messaging as far as just for the safety and security of the people, especially now, like you mentioned, with the volcanic, activity now, and you get the air pollution. We encompass, I think, 11 of 13 different types of, climates.
On
this island alone. So it's like, how do you mitigate and how do you circumvent those different types and then get the messaging out for the community? I think that the current administration and county council, they've been doing a good job, but the biggest room is room for improvement. So we look for ways for messaging just to get out to the community so that they're understanding of the safety of, what's happening at the moment.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm glad you brought up Instagram, TikTok, yes, Facebook for Kupuna. We love that. Let's talk about your community engagement. How will you ensure that residents remain informed and involved between elections, not just during disaster relief?
Excellent question. A big thing is just having, I believe in sunshine laws. I believe in transparency. We should have, townhouses and town halls throughout the District 5, and just catch it all the way from Ainaloa, Orchid Land, Ola'a, to Ke'au, moving up towards, Curtistown, Hawaiian Acres, Fern Acres, Eden Rock, all the way up, Mountain View, etc., and just to where we're going around and just letting the people know what's happening, whether, with the transfer stations, a big thing in our district. We have 21 transfer stations across Hawaii County, 2 of which are in my district in Glenwood and also in Ke'au. It could be anything, even from, improvements at, say, Shipment Park, with the fence around Shipment Park.
Yep,
You got the with Mountain View Gym, the new roof, etc., just things, and just letting the people know, but having those town halls, and then also opening up ourselves to field questions, because I believe, again, from the spirit of aloha, that you're hearing what is not said, you're seeing what's not seen. I believe the community not only has the just the quips and the concerns, but they also come with the solutions. And that's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. We should listen more and talk less with our community.
I love that. Yes, our Hawaii Island community, as some people say, are hamas, and we always show up when we need each other.
Yes.
So I love that. As we're kind of nearing towards the end of our time, which is just flowing by, a question that I wanted to talk story about is kind of in relation to like our youth and our OPO. Many residents are concerned, of course, about the cost of living, but specifically the lack of economic opportunity. Are there industries, investments, or policies that you would support to create more opportunities for our youth to have a future here in Hawaii?
Great question. A big one I saw was as far as the film industry. Especially with the just the increase in influx in influencers, all that. There's movement behind that. We can get those types of demographics involved, with the county, with letting out, like I said, messaging, but then also with the film industry. There has to be some sort of mechanism where we can kind of marry those, and then also have the programs within, whether HCC, all of the respective schools, all the way from, K through 12, and just get them to where they're thinking entrepreneurially, like they're thinking as far as, why does it take a degree to get a job, but you don't need a degree to start a business? And so to think like that and to instill that into our keiki, so the next generation, their starting point is going to be a lot better than us. But a lot of it's going to have to be just literacy, as far as financial, just like, as I said, entrepreneurially, just to look at things outside of the box.
Absolutely. I think education is so key on everything that we do on this island. So I love that you brought that up. My sort of last question that we have here today is, if elected at the end of your term, what is one accomplishment you hope that residents will say you helped achieve?
A big one, we're closing, but the big one I think was just the roads, specifically the alternate route. I know we have Bill 131 that allocated $2 million for an alternate route study. But the old adage is measure twice, cut once. We've measured 15, 20 times. And, with my district, Upper Puna on the Highway 130 and also Highway 11, and then you have Lower Puna that's accessing that as well. We have to look at ways that, can mitigate that. People are spending hours in traffic just, to go, and they're losing time. That should be with their keiki, with their mo'opuna. And so for me, that's a big thing that a lot of constituents, they just talk about, spending that time in the roads, and how can we mitigate that, whether an Upper Puna route going towards Saddle. I know we're going to have to work with other legislators, other representatives, Chris Todd, Iligan, Gene Capella, et cetera, Ed Sniffen, the director of RDOT. But yeah.
I love that you're talking about collaboration. I'm so excited to see what comes up in your season and this candidacy. Good luck. Best of luck. Mahalo, everybody, for watching. I've been Makana Waikiki. Ahui ho.